my friends, let's get real for a moment. For too long, you've been carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations. You've been pouring your energy into work, into family, into responsibilities, and somewhere along the way, you forgot the most important person in the equation. It's time to focus on you. Not in a selfish way, but in a sacred way. Because when you strengthen yourself, you elevate everything around you. When you give yourself permission to grow, to dream, to rest, to step into your true potential, you bring more light, more joy, and more strength to every relationship, every project, every cause you care about. But here's the truth. No one is coming to rescue you. No one is going to suddenly hand you the time, the clarity, or the confidence you need. That is your responsibility. That is your choice. All right, let's dive deep into key point 1, expanding it into a full motivational piece in that powerful, high-energy voice, without headings, smooth and flowing like something you'd hear on stage. Self-focus is not selfish, it's essential. For some reason, many of us grew up with this idea that if we take time for ourselves, if we invest in our own growth, if we set aside space to breathe, dream, or heal, that somehow we're being selfish, that by turning our attention inward, we're neglecting the world, we're abandoning our responsibilities, or we're betraying the people who count on us. That's a lie. It's a lie that keeps too many people stuck, drained, and burned out. Listen, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You can't give your best when you're depleted. You can't show up with energy, presence, or compassion when you're running on fumes. And you know what happens then? You end up resenting the very people and responsibilities you once cared so deeply about. You end up frustrated, bitter, and exhausted because you're trying to serve others from a place of emptiness. When you learn to focus on you, not out of ego, but out of intention, you elevate everything. You don't just refill your own cup, you overflow, and that overflow becomes the greatest gift you can give to the world. Think about it. When you're at your best, when you're rested, inspired, and energized, how do you show up? You laugh more, you listen better, you have patience, you bring creativity and new ideas. You inspire others simply by the way you carry yourself. People feel your energy. They feel your presence. They feel your joy. That is not selfish. That is service. But if you're dragging through life, ignoring your own needs, refusing to take care of yourself, what do you really bring to the table? You bring the tired version of you, the distracted version of you, the reactive version of you. And that doesn't help anyone. So I want you to reframe this whole concept. Focusing on yourself isn't about taking something away from others. It's about multiplying the value you give. It's about strengthening the foundation so everything built on top of it can rise higher. Think about a tree. The branches can only reach as high as the roots are deep. Your personal growth, your health, your mindset, your soul is the root system. If you don't nurture it, the branches will eventually wither. But when you nourish yourself, the branches spread wide, the fruit grows abundant, and the shade covers everyone around you. Your growth becomes a gift to the world. The reason so many people hesitate to focus on themselves is guilt. They feel guilty for saying no, guilty for resting, guilty for investing in their dreams when there are bills to pay, or kids to raise, or deadlines to hit. But let me ask you this. If you burn yourself out, if you completely deplete your energy, if you spend years ignoring your joy, what kind of example are you really setting? What kind of legacy does that leave? The people who love you don't want a drained, exhausted version of you. They want the vibrant, passionate, alive you. They want the version of you that's full of possibility. And you can only be that version when you give yourself permission to prioritize your growth. So today, I want you to ask yourself, what does focusing on me look like? Maybe it means finally committing to that morning routine that fuels you. Maybe it means setting a boundary so you're not available 24/7 for everyone else's emergencies. Maybe it means carving out an hour to read, to learn, to move your body, to dream about what's possible for your future. These things aren't luxuries, they're necessities. They are the building blocks of a thriving life. Because here's the truth, you can't wait for the perfect time to finally care about yourself. There will always be more work. There will always be people who want more of you. There will always be distractions and obligations. If you don't draw the line and decide, I matter too, then no one else is going to draw it for you. When you focus on yourself, when you get clear on your priorities, when you take care of your body, when you protect your energy, when you honor your dreams, you create a ripple effect. You show the people around you what's possible. You inspire your kids to grow into strong, confident adults who respect themselves. You influence your friends to live more intentionally. You even elevate your workplace because you're bringing fresh ideas and positive energy instead of just dragging through the day. That's not selfish, that's leadership. That's service at the highest level. So stop apologizing for wanting to take care of yourself. Stop feeling guilty for saying, I need time. Stop believing that self-focus equals selfishness. Instead, see it for what it really is, an act of love, an act of courage, an act of service. Because when you grow, the world grows with you. No one else will give you permission. Claim responsibility for your growth. This is one of those truths that can feel uncomfortable at first, but it's also one of the most liberating. Too many people are waiting for someone to notice their potential. Waiting for a boss to say, you're ready. Waiting for family or friends to say, go for it. We've got your back. Waiting for some sign from the universe that says, now is your moment. But let's be honest, you could wait your entire life for that, and it might never come. If you're always waiting for permission, you're putting your future in someone else's hands. And the problem with that is, most people are too focused on their own struggles and dreams to hand you the green light you're hoping for. They can't see the fire inside of you. They don't feel the urgency that you feel. Your life changes when you stop waiting and you start choosing. No one is going to suddenly show up at your door and say, here's your perfect schedule. Here's the exact amount of confidence you need. Here's the fully cleared path. It doesn't work that way. Growth is your responsibility. Progress is your responsibility. Permission, it comes from you. When you realize that, you stop playing small. You stop hiding behind excuses like, well, I wasn't given the chance, or nobody supported me. And instead you say, it's on me. If I want a new chapter, I need to write it. If I want a new standard, I need to live it. If I want a new opportunity, I need to create it. That's empowerment. That's freedom. Because the moment you take responsibility, you take back control. Some of you have dreams that you've been holding on to for years. Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's writing that book. Maybe it's stepping into a leadership role. Maybe it's leaving behind a toxic environment. And you've been waiting for someone to say you're good enough. Waiting for the timing to be perfect. Waiting until you feel ready. But listen, if you're waiting to feel ready, you're going to wait forever. Nobody ever feels perfectly ready. Growth doesn't work that way. You grow into readiness by taking action. You become confident by showing up. Not by sitting on the sidelines. You learn by trying, failing, and adjusting, not by waiting for a flawless plan to drop out of the sky. That's why permission has to come from you. Because you're the only one who knows the desire in your heart. You're the only one who feels the vision that keeps tugging at you in the quiet hours of the night. No one else can validate that for you. No one else can bless it for you. And if you keep waiting for them to, you're handing your dreams over to their schedule, their fears, their limitations. Claim responsibility. That's the turning point. It might sound heavy at first, like, wait, so everything is on me? But it's actually the most empowering thing in the world. Because when you take responsibility, you stop being a victim of circumstance. You stop blaming other people. You stop living in this passive state where life just happens to you. Instead, you step into power, you step into ownership, you step into the truth that your choices, your actions, and your mindset are the greatest determining factors of your future. Now, here's the thing. Nobody hands out confidence slips. Nobody hands out discipline slips. Nobody hands out purpose slips. These are things you build by choosing to step forward again and again, even when it's uncomfortable. Think about anyone you admire. They didn't wait for permission. They gave themselves permission. They didn't wait for the conditions to be perfect. They started where they were with what they had, and they grew from there. That's what leaders do. That's what achievers do. That's what people who live fully alive do. So what does this mean for you right now in this season of your life? It means stop looking around for someone to validate you. Stop waiting for someone to rescue you. Stop hoping that circumstances will magically rearrange themselves in your favor. Instead, wake up tomorrow and say, I am responsible for my energy. I am responsible for my focus. I am responsible for whether I grow or whether I stay stuck. And then take one small step, just one, because that step is the proof that you don't need permission. You're already moving, you're already growing, you're already taking ownership. The people who thrive in this life aren't necessarily the smartest, the most talented, or the luckiest. They are the ones who stop waiting. They are the ones who decide, I don't need anyone else to say I'm worthy. I don't need the world to give me the go-ahead. I choose me. That's what you must do too. Give yourself the go-ahead. Choose yourself. Claim responsibility, because when you do, you unlock momentum. You unlock confidence, and you unlock a life that is no longer dictated by someone else's approval. It all starts the moment you stop waiting. The moment you realize no one else will hand you permission. The moment you step forward and say, this is my life, and I'm taking responsibility for it. Commitment creates transformation. Decide daily to prioritize your health, passions, and purpose. Let's be honest. Most people don't struggle because they don't know what to do. They struggle because they don't stay committed to doing it. They dabble. They get excited for a week or two. Then the enthusiasm fades. The distractions creep in. And suddenly the promise they made to themselves is broken. And when that happens again and again, they lose trust in themselves. They stop believing they can change. But commitment is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Commitment is what turns intentions into results. Commitment is the difference between dreaming about a better life and actually living one. The question is, what are you truly committed to? Not what you say you're committed to, but what your daily actions reveal. Because you can tell me all day long that you want to be healthier, that you want to write that book, that you want to start that business, that you want to be more present with your family. But if your daily choices don't align with those words, then the truth is you're committed to something else. You're committed to comfort. You're committed to distraction. You're committed to excuses. The good news is you can change that in an instant. You can decide right now to make a new commitment. Not a half-hearted, I'll try, but a full-hearted, I will. Because when you fully commit, you close the back door. You stop entertaining the exit strategy. You stop negotiating with yourself about whether you'll show up. You just do it. And over time, that consistency transforms you. Think about the people you admire. They didn't get where they are by dabbling. They got there because they committed. They committed to showing up when it was inconvenient. They committed to practicing when nobody was watching. They committed to learning, failing, trying again, and moving forward no matter how long it took. Commitment is not glamorous. It's often quiet. It's often hard, and it's almost always uncomfortable. But it's also the birthplace of greatness. It's the daily decision to choose discipline over distraction, growth over excuses, purpose over procrastination. And let me tell you something powerful. Commitment creates confidence. People think confidence comes first, that you have to feel ready before you can commit. That's not how it works. Confidence is built by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you show up for the workout, every time you sit down to write, every time you choose the harder right over the easier wrong, you build self-trust. And that self-trust is the foundation of confidence. This is why commitment matters so much. Because when you consistently show up, you start to see progress. Even if it's small at first, that progress compounds. And suddenly the thing you thought was impossible becomes inevitable. So let's get specific. What does daily commitment look like? It looks like prioritizing your health, because without energy, you can't sustain anything else. It looks like protecting time for your passions, because joy isn't a luxury, it's fuel. It looks like reconnecting to your purpose every day, because without direction, you'll drift back into distraction. Commitment means scheduling your priorities instead of prioritizing your schedule. It means saying, this matters to me, so I'm putting it on the calendar, and nothing else gets to take that space. It means choosing consistency over intensity, because doing something small every day beats doing something huge once in a while. And here's the thing. You won't always feel like it. There will be days you're tired, days you're discouraged, days you'd rather do anything else. But commitment means you show up anyway. Not perfectly, not flawlessly, but consistently. Because the goal isn't perfection, the goal is progress. One of the greatest shifts you can make in life is moving from a mindset of, I'll try, to I'm committed. I'll try leaves room for excuses. I'll try is soft, uncertain, and negotiable. But I'm committed is firm, resolute, and powerful. That one decision changes the way you act, the way you think, and the way you live. Remember, transformation doesn't happen in one big leap. It happens in the small daily choices you commit to over time. The body you want, the career you want, the relationships you want, the life you want, they are all built on the foundation of commitment. So what are you waiting for? Decide today. Decide that your health matters enough to move your body. Decide that your passions matter enough to carve out time for them. Decide that your purpose matters enough to keep it front and center. Decide that your dreams matter enough to stop postponing them. Commitment creates transformation. And transformation begins the moment you stop wishing and start deciding. The moment you stop dabbling and start doing. The moment you stop saying someday and start saying today. So make the decision. Make the commitment. Because once you do, your entire life begins to change. Boundaries are acts of self-respect. Protect your energy and time so you can thrive. One of the biggest reasons people feel overwhelmed, drained, and disconnected from themselves is because they don't have clear boundaries. They say yes to everything. They allow anyone access to their time, their energy, their focus, whenever, however, for as long as others want. And after a while, they wonder why they feel exhausted, resentful, and unfulfilled. Let me tell you something. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you're saying no to yourself. You're saying no to your health, no to your passions, no to your dreams. And that pattern will eat away at you until you feel like you don't even recognize your own life. Boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about creating the space to show up as your best self. They're about protecting your most precious resources, your time, your energy, your attention, so you can give them intentionally to what truly matters. Because here's the truth. If you don't set boundaries, someone else will set them for you. And you might not like where that leads. Think about it. Your phone dings, and suddenly your attention is hijacked by someone else's urgency. A colleague asks for a favor, and before you've even thought it through, you say yes, even though it pulls you away from your own priorities. A family member expects you to be available at all hours, and you comply even though it leaves you depleted. Over time, your life becomes a reflection of everyone else's agenda instead of your own. That's why boundaries are not just nice to have, they're essential. They are declarations of self-respect. You're saying, my time matters, my energy matters, my dreams matter, and I get to decide how I invest them. Now, setting boundaries doesn't mean you stop caring about people. It means you start caring about them more effectively. Because when you're drained and resentful, you can't love fully. You can't serve fully. You can't give your best. But when you protect your energy, when you create space for rest, growth, and focus, you show up with more patience, more joy, more presence. Everyone benefits from that. So what do boundaries look like in practice? It might mean saying no to commitments that don't align with your values. It might mean turning off notifications so you're not constantly reacting to your phone. It might mean blocking off time on your calendar for exercise, reading, or working on that passion project, and protecting that time like it's a meeting with the most important person in the world. Because it is. That person is you. Boundaries also mean having honest conversations with the people around you. Saying, I love you, but I can't be available at all hours. Saying, I want to support you, but I also need to protect this time for myself. Saying, this matters to me, and I need your respect in honoring it. These conversations aren't always easy, but they're necessary. And here's what usually happens. People respect you more when you respect yourself. And yes, there will be pushback. Some people are so used to you giving them unlimited access that when you start setting boundaries, they'll resist. They'll test you. They'll make you feel guilty. But that's not a reason to cave. It's a reason to stand stronger because your well-being, your dreams, your life are worth protecting. Here's something powerful to remember. Every no is also a yes. When you say no to the things that drain you, you're saying yes to the things that sustain you. When you say no to obligations that pull you off course, you're saying yes to staying aligned with your vision. When you say no to being constantly available, you're saying yes to being present with the people and projects that matter most. Boundaries are also a way of training others how to treat you. If you're always available, people assume your time is endless. If you always say yes, people will assume your priorities don't matter. But when you set boundaries, you teach people that your time is valuable, your energy is precious, and your focus is not for sale. And here's the beauty of it. Boundaries don't limit your life, they expand it. They free you from obligations that don't serve you. They give you the energy to pursue what excites you. They allow you to be fully present. Instead of constantly distracted, they help you build a life that reflects your values instead of one that's run by everyone else's demands. So I want you to think right now, where in your life do you need stronger boundaries? Maybe it's with technology. Maybe it's with work. Maybe it's with family or friends. Maybe it's with yourself, saying no to your own habits of procrastination or overcommitting. Wherever it is, decide today to draw the line. Decide today to protect your energy. Decide today to respect yourself enough to say, this matters to me. Boundaries are not walls, they are doors. They don't shut people out. They allow you to open yourself up more fully to what truly matters. They give you the freedom to thrive, and when you thrive, you inspire others to do the same. So don't feel guilty for setting boundaries. Feel proud, because every boundary you create is an act of courage. It's you saying to the world, I value my life, I value my dreams, I value my time. And when you live with that kind of self-respect, everything around you begins to change. Your best self elevates others. When you grow, everyone around you benefits. One of the biggest misconceptions people carry is that personal growth is a selfish pursuit. That if you spend time on your own goals, your own development, your own healing, that somehow you're taking away from others. But the truth is the exact opposite. The better you become, the more you lift up the people around you. Think about it. When you're energized, confident, and clear, how do you show up in your relationships? You're more patient, you're more loving, you listen better, you laugh more, you bring a positive energy into the room that people can feel immediately. Compare that to the version of you that's tired, distracted, and unfulfilled. That version is reactive, impatient, maybe even resentful. Which version of you serves others better? Which version inspires, supports, and uplifts? Your best self elevates others. Always. When you choose to grow, you're not just changing your own life, you're giving everyone around you permission to do the same. You're modeling what's possible. You're showing your kids what it looks like to pursue a dream with courage. You're showing your partner what it looks like to prioritize health and happiness. You're showing your team what it looks like to lead with energy and clarity. You become the example, not just the talk. And people notice. They might not always say it out loud, but they feel it. They see your consistency. They watch how you handle challenges. They notice your focus and your discipline. And it sparks something in them. Because deep down, we're all inspired by people who are living fully alive. Here's the key. You don't elevate others by telling them what to do. You elevate them by becoming the kind of person they want to emulate. You elevate them by being the living proof that growth is possible. That energy, joy, and purpose aren't just buzzwords, they're a way of life. When you grow, you expand what's possible for your family, your friends, your colleagues. Suddenly the standards rise. Suddenly mediocrity doesn't feel acceptable anymore. People want to rise to meet the level of energy and excellence you bring. And that's not pressure, it's inspiration. It's leadership by example. Think about the people who've most inspired you in your life. Chances are they weren't perfect, but they were growing. They were pushing themselves. They were striving to be more. And because of that, you saw yourself differently. You believed you could grow too. That's the power of your best self. It doesn't just transform your life, it unlocks the potential in others. And let's get real. The world doesn't need more burned out, depleted, discouraged people. The world needs more people who are on fire with possibility. The world needs more people who are alive with passion, clarity, and courage. When you become that person, you don't just serve yourself, you serve your community, your family, your workplace, your world. So if you've been holding back from your own growth because you feel guilty, let that go. Stop thinking that your dreams are just about you. They're not. Your dreams are connected to everyone whose life you'll touch when you pursue them. Your growth creates ripple effects that extend far beyond you. Imagine for a moment that you finally step into the version of yourself you know you can be. Imagine the energy you'd bring home to your kids. Imagine the confidence you'd bring into your career. Imagine the love and joy you'd bring into your relationships. Imagine how your courage would inspire your friends to take chances they've been avoiding. All of that happens because you made the choice to grow. And here's the powerful part. You don't even have to be at the finish line to elevate others. You just have to be on the path. People are inspired not only by your achievements, but by your journey, by the fact that you're willing to try, to stumble, to keep going. They're inspired by your honesty, your resilience, your persistence. Sometimes it's not your success that motivates others, it's your effort. That means you don't need to wait until you arrive to make an impact. You make an impact every day that you choose growth over comfort, clarity over distraction, purpose over procrastination. So ask yourself, what version of me do I want to bring into the lives of the people I love? Do I want to bring the distracted, exhausted version who's always stretched thin? Or do I want to bring the best version, energized, focused, joyful, growing? Because the truth is, you don't just owe it to yourself to become your best. You owe it to them. Not because they need a perfect version of you, but because they deserve the alive version of you, the present version, the inspired version. That's the version that elevates everyone. So stop thinking growth is selfish. Start seeing it for what it really is. Service. Every step you take to improve yourself is a step that improves your ability to serve others. Every boundary you set, every commitment you honor, every habit you build, it all adds up to more energy, more presence, more impact. Your best self is the greatest gift you can give to the world. And when you choose to grow, everyone around you rises with you. Small daily actions build momentum. Focus on consistent choices that honor you. One of the greatest misconceptions about transformation is that it happens all at once in some huge dramatic breakthrough. People think they need the perfect plan, the perfect timing, or one massive leap to change their life. But the truth is, transformation doesn't come from one big moment. It comes from small daily actions that add up over time. Momentum is built in the little things. The decision to get up when the alarm goes off instead of hitting snooze. The choice to fuel your body with something healthy instead of junk that drains you. The discipline to spend 10 minutes reading something inspiring instead of scrolling endlessly on your phone. The courage to make that one phone call, send that one email, take that one step forward. These things may feel small, but compounded over days, weeks, and months, they create massive change. Here's what most people miss. Small actions create identity. Every choice you make is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. When you choose discipline over distraction, you're casting a vote for being a committed person. When you choose courage over fear, you're casting a vote for being a bold person. When you choose progress over procrastination, you're casting a vote for being a purposeful person. And the more votes you cast, the stronger that identity becomes. It's not about perfection. It's not about doing everything right. It's about consistency, because consistency beats intensity every time. Anyone can get fired up and make a huge effort for a day or two, but the people who actually change their lives are the ones who keep showing up day after day, even when it's not exciting, even when it's not convenient. And here's the beautiful part. Once you start, momentum makes it easier. At first, those small actions feel hard. At first, you have to push yourself. But as you keep going, the momentum builds. The habit gets stronger. The identity solidifies. And suddenly, what once felt like a massive effort just feels like who you are. Think about it like rolling a snowball down a hill. At first, it's small, and you have to pack it tightly, push it hard, and keep it moving. But as it rolls, it gathers more snow, it gets bigger, and it starts to roll faster. Eventually, the momentum takes over, and it's practically unstoppable. That's exactly how daily actions work. At first, it feels slow, but if you stay consistent, you become unstoppable. So the question is, what small daily actions are you taking to honor yourself? Because every day, you're either building momentum toward your best life or momentum towards staying stuck. Every day, your choices are either aligning you with your vision or pulling you further away from it. It doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, the simpler, the better. Maybe it's committing to 10 minutes of exercise a day. Maybe it's journaling for 5 minutes to reconnect with your purpose. Maybe it's reaching out to one person who inspires you. Maybe it's drinking more water or practicing gratitude or turning off your phone at a certain hour so you can actually rest. Don't underestimate the power of these small choices, because it's the compounding effect of these decisions that changes everything. One workout doesn't transform your body, but 100 workouts do. One journal entry doesn't transform your mindset, but 100 journal entries do. One act of courage doesn't transform your life, but 100 do. That's why the focus should be on consistency, not perfection. Too many people quit because they miss a day or fall short once. But listen, missing one day doesn't break the momentum. What breaks momentum is the story you tell yourself about it. If you miss a day, don't spiral into guilt. Just recommit the next day. That's how you build resilience. That's how you keep moving forward. And there's another truth. Those small actions don't just build momentum for your goals. They build momentum for your belief. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. Every time you show up, you build confidence. Every time you take action, no matter how small, you reinforce the identity of a person who grows, who persists, who honors their vision. That's how transformation becomes inevitable. Because once you start stacking those small wins, you begin to see yourself differently. And once you see yourself differently, you start acting differently. And once you start acting differently, your life begins to change. So stop waiting for the perfect plan. Stop waiting for the right time. Stop waiting for someone to hand you a grand strategy. You don't need all of that. You need to start where you are with what you have and take one small step today. And then another tomorrow, and another the next day. If you focus on small daily actions that honor you, momentum will take care of the rest. You'll wake up one day, look around, and realize how far you've come. Not because of one big moment, but because of hundreds of small ones that added up to transformation. That's the power of momentum. That's the power of daily action. And that's how you build a life you're proud of, one choice at a time.